Joining us now, Jake Sherman, co-founder of Punchbowl News and an MSNBC political contributor. Former Republican Congressman from Florida, Carlos Curbelo, an MSNBC political analyst. And Tyler Pager, New York Times White House correspondent. Gentlemen, welcome to you all. So, Jake, you laid out in this morning's Punchbowl newsletter what each side will be looking for in today's meeting. So walk us through their goals.
Yeah, listen, the Republicans have passed a bill, a clean funding bill, which extends government funding until November 21st. And they just want to keep Trump from negotiating or diving into any negotiations with Democrats, which I think at this point seems unlikely that Trump would do that. That's number one. What Democrats want effectively is three things. They want to roll back the health care cuts in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That's the Republicans' big legislative achievement that they got through earlier this year. They want to stop the president from unilaterally rescinding money from the federal budget. And perhaps most importantly, there are a bunch of tax credits, enhanced tax credits for Obamacare that come up, that expire at the end of the year. These tax credits were put in place or enhanced during COVID, and they want that to, they want to renew those as part of this government funding bill. So I don't see, as you kind of noted in your intro of all those clips, I mean, I don't see an obvious way out at this point. The House isn't even in session, Alex, this week until next week. So I don't see any way of avoiding a government shutdown in just 36 or so hours.
Yeah, but aren't the Democrats in the House being called back tonight?
Yeah, but they can't do anything. Republicans are in charge of the chamber, so they need Republicans here to conduct any business. So there's nothing that the House will do, at least from what I could tell this week.
So, Carlos, you have experience in this. You have lived this kind of scenario while serving in Congress during a shutdown. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries was asked this morning if Democrats would be open to a compromise. Listen to what he said.
We've said from the beginning that we're willing to find a bipartisan path forward. And our line in the sand is the bill has to help everyday Americans, not hurt everyday Americans.
So President Trump calls Democrats' funding demands unreasonable. But with the message you just heard, does it put pressure on today's meeting to be substantive over performative?
Look, I think maybe the Democrats get a commitment from the White House, from House and Senate Republican leadership, that they will take up this ACA tax credit issue. But I do think this is still an uphill climb for Democrats. Typically, the party that denies the votes to keep the government open, especially in a case like this where Republicans are asking just for a simple extension of 7 weeks, typically that party that withhold votes gets punished in the public square, especially with swing voters, with independent-minded voters. And Democrats are in a trap because their base wants them to fight. The base wants them to shut down the government. But I don't see a clear path forward. Maybe if they settle for a commitment that there will be a debate on these ACA tax credits, that might be enough. But if that's not enough, I don't see how we get out of this in less than a week.
So, Tyler, the president did an interview with NBC News yesterday and was asked if he thinks there's going to be a shutdown. Here was his answer. There is a possibility, yeah, and if there is, we're going to cut a lot of the people that, we're able to cut. If there is, we're able to cut on a permanent basis, and we will be doing that. I'd rather not do that. And he says he'd rather not do it, so why do it? I mean, doesn't he have control over whether or not it gets done?
I mean, he needs the Democrats to play along, and there's obviously this meeting today where they're going to try to negotiate. I think one of the things to watch for in this meeting is right now it's closed press, so there's no cameras in the meeting.
Good point.
Oftentimes, the White House starts these meetings closed press, and then they change course and allow reporters in. And I think the dynamic in that meeting will change significantly whether or not there is cameras there. We've seen Trump with foreign leaders, when there's cameras on, put on a performance of sorts and really stick it to them. We've seen in the past Donald Trump meeting with Democrats, particularly Democratic leaders like Nancy Pelosi. Those meetings have not gone particularly well. So I don't think there's, as Jake laid out very, very well, there's not a lot of expectation that they're going to be able to close this deal today. But as we've seen over the course of Trump's, months back in office, he wants to make deals. He wants to tout that he's a deal maker and he can get people to come together. I think they are too far apart on this, that this is not going to move the ball significantly. But I do think the dynamic of the meeting and whether or not there's any productivity will depend in somewhat on whether or not it's closed press.